So, tool video. What is a reversible ratchet? Well, I've got three examples here of slightly different designs that all fundamentally do the same job. I shall just turn this over, this one here, and you see on this side there is a switch that turns it from clockwise to anti-clockwise rotation. So when it's like that, that one is set for anti-clockwise to tighten, and that one is set to clockwise rotation because the clicks are when you are reversing the ratchet to come back into position. So you'll stick it on the nut, apply the turning force, and that clicking noise of the ratchet when you return it back to the position will mean that you don't have to take the socket or whatever tool that you've got on the end of it out. You can just leave it in position, tighten or loosen, and then release. Tighten or loosen and then release. And if the ratchet is in the other position, it will be release, tighten, release, tighten. Now you will notice on two of these there is that small spot. What that is to release any socket on there. So you push that and you see a little pin that comes out there. That releases whatever is attached to this particular tool. And in a lot of cases you cannot remove that tool without pushing that pin. So it's a safety feature to prevent it all coming apart, or when you're putting really large pressure on and the thing won't slide out like that and you know, graze your knuckles or cause an injury. And hopefully not with this sort of size tool that you would be doing that, but you get the picture. This one is a much older tool. I'm just using these three for representation. This is the most expensive, not that it really matters. This one is the cheapest and this one is somewhere in between. So, but they all fundamentally operate in the same way. So on this one you can see there's a ball in there with a spring in it which will retain the socket in position. And rather than having that flick switch, this one has got just simply a slider on the back which changes, and you can see on this one it's got a direction, very easy to see, and you can see there leading into my next point is the size of the tool. So this one is called a 1/2 inch reversible ratchet, and that is because that connector there is 1/2 inch. This one, not particularly written on here, but this one is a 3/8, and the size of this side here is 3/8 of an inch. You'll notice on this one it's got the push button here, but this one's just got a rotational. In this one actually you can tighten the nut if you're just pulling it in to the position. So rather than using the ratchet position, you can just nip something up and then tighten it in position. So each of these designs has got little features that you may or may not like to use, but they all fundamentally work in the same way. Then moving on to the last one, this one is a 1/4 inch drive. So that side there is a 1/4 inch. Now, as you can see, this one is designed for smaller jobs. This one is designed for medium jobs, and this one's designed for the larger ones. Now, obviously, there are really big sockets that you can get, but this is not really the purview of this video because we're looking at what a beginner would start out with. If you're working on motorbikes, this one and this one are probably the most likely things you're going to use. So the 3/8 drive here, you will probably find the most tools, attachments, sockets, whiz bangs and whatever to go on it. So if you wanted to do a socket set, Allen key or hex, Torx, anything you can think of really. I'm running out of, but it's amazing when you want to think about these things and you think of trying to list it off the top of your head and you go blank. But probably the most choice in that section there, and in terms of pricing, because this can be quite specialist. Normally, cheap ones of a 1/4 inch in particular are very poor tools in my personal experience. So you need to buy something of a relatively reasonable standard. Now this one happens to be a Draper Expert one. That is probably the absolute minimum level of 1/4 inch drive I would use. I'm not going to name the brands that are cheaper than this, but I just find the ratchets break. I had a cheap one given to me as a present because someone thought it was great to buy me one as a birthday present, which is lovely. First time I used it, literally the first time I used it, the ratchet system broke. So how someone is supposed to use that, I have no idea. This one is probably the most traditional socket, the one that everyone saw in their parents' sheds. That is like a general purpose set, but you'll just find just by the physical, the physical size difference between the 3 tools, especially when you're working on small jobs, this one is quite difficult. So what I would say is, if you're going to buy just one, get a 3/8. That one is your starting set. Get a nice 3/8 set with a set of sockets, an extension bar, and any other tools that tool adapters you might need for your particular machine. So if you need Torx or security Torx, get those. If you need Allen adapters, get those. And I will be doing other videos to explain the terms that I'm using here, so don't panic. If there's something that I'm saying that you don't understand, stick it in the comments below, and I will make, again, as I said in the previous video, raise that under the priority list of the things I'm going to make. So yeah, this set I would probably buy first, this set I'll probably buy second, and this set I'll probably buy third if you are doing work on a motorbike. Because the thing about this one here is this is going to be for removing a wheel. If you're not using a spanner, you need to get a relatively high torque application. Then that's there. But in general, in terms of general jobs on the bike, on the engine, 3/8 is great. And for all the sort of small bodywork jobs and some sort of light engine work, 1/4 inch reaches into the spots that you just can't get with other tools. Yeah, and that's sort of a brief overview of what these are and what they mean and what you should look and go for. You will see on specifications, a different number of teeth. So what that number of teeth means is, around this ring, as you heard when it was clicking, there are teeth. The more teeth that are there, the more fine the adjustment. So as you're going back and you're doing click, 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 that is, you can have a much finer, precise position to go to. If you've only got a very narrow area where you can work, sometimes the very cheapest ratchets won't engage, so you're stuck. You can't physically do it. Too many teeth actually can strip, but you could take that as a bit of a guide. If you're looking at one that's got a very low teeth count, that might cause you an issue in terms of tool usability, because it is also the engagement. It's not just how it releases, it's how long it takes before the pressure you put on actually applies to the nut. So if you're not experienced in feeling back through your hand how much you should tighten something, you could inadvertently over or under tighten it just by being confused by that level of slack. So I think that covers these reversible ratchets. In terms of bolts, you'll notice I've just stuck to it clockwise and anti-clockwise. I will cover that in a separate video, but you do get occasions where you do get anti-clockwise threads. Not so much on motorbikes, which is the stuff on this channel, but clockwise is the standard bolt. So you might have heard the phrase righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, which is essentially what you get with a clockwise thread. You turn this right, that is tightening. You turn it left, that is loosening in a standard nut. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.